Hello again, everybody. This is Steve Callis speaking of sports, and we're here to talk about the Houston Astros cheating scandal in Major League Baseball, what they did, what their punishment was, and really what, if anything, more should happen now. And we're going to start just generally. You probably know the story by now. They had an elaborate, I don't know if I should say elaborate, they had a cheating scheme that culminated with somebody in the dugout banging a garbage can to tell the players what pitch was coming. And apparently this was quite successful over time. This is the 2017 Astros we're talking about. Now, I should say up front that the Los Angeles City Council has passed a resolution where they would like Major League Baseball to name the Dodgers the winners of the 2017 World Series because they lost to the Astros. And they'd also like the Dodgers to be named the winners of the 2018 World Series because they lost to the Red Sox. And the hook there is Alex Cora. Cora was the bench coach, named in the report as a key figure in, frankly, illegally stealing signs. And the illegal part of it is they use technology, they use cameras, etc. If you can see with your eyes and steal signs, if the catcher puts down the one and that's a fastball and you can see it, and somehow tell the batter it's a fastball, that's perfectly legal. But if you use the center field camera, which is what they used, to see the sign sequence and then figure out what pitch is coming and then notify the batter, that's totally illegal. And that's what happened here. So Cora then went, as you know, after the 2017 Astros bench coach. He was named the manager of the Red Sox, and lo and behold, they won the 2018 World Series. Now, the Red Sox are a different issue. The Boston Red Sox 2018 investigation is pending still. It's ongoing for Major League Baseball. We're not going to talk about that. But we will talk about at length the 2017 Astros. Now, obviously, even though people in Los Angeles want those two World Series names, they want to be named winners of those two, that's not going to happen. The more interesting question to me is, and one of the reasons is, and I'll just give you one example, in 2017, the Yankees lost to the Astros for the right to go play the Dodgers in the World Series. And there were 4 Houston home games. They had home field advantage, and 3 Yankee games in New York. And the Astros won all 4 games in Houston, so they won the series 4-3. And now everybody in New York is screaming, well, hold it now. We lost 4 games to Houston in Houston. We beat them the 3 times it was fair for both sides. So maybe we should be declared the winners of that series, and that's how it gets ridiculous. Are they going to have the Yankees and the Dodgers play today to see who would have won the 2017 World Series? That's preposterous. But here's what they can do, and what Manfred has the power to do, and what apparently he's not going to do, and that is he could vacate the 2017 World Series Houston Astros as champions, and they could literally have 2017 no champion. I personally think that would be okay. And people are saying, oh, it's never happened in the history of baseball, and how can you do that, blah, blah, blah. And my response to that would be, who won the 1994 World Series? It's the greatest trick question in baseball history. Nobody won the 1994 World Series because the players went on strike or the owners locked them out, depending on what view you want to take. The point was there was no World Series played in 1994. In 1904, after the first World Series in 1903, who won that World Series? The answer is nobody, because there was no World Series in 1904. So you can say, oh, that's 2 in 115 years. And I say, yeah, but it's happened where there was no World Series winner. And I think this would be, talk about a deterrent, I think this would be the best way to handle the 2017 World Series winner, i.e. there was none. So the big question for fans is, well, the players did all the cheating. I mean, they were the ones who got the signs. They knew a fastball was coming or they knew a curveball was coming, yet no players were punished. And the original explanation, and I'm not saying it's totally wrong, but the original explanation was the Major League Baseball Players Union is the strongest, greatest union on earth. Nobody's more powerful than the Players Association in baseball. And so the theory was, well, Major League Baseball doesn't really want to fight the Players Association. There'd be grievances. There'd be complaints. They might not be able to win. It would take 3 years for baseball to get through all this, blah, blah, blah. But the Wall Street Journal yesterday came out with an article that said there was actually an agreement made early on in the investigation where if the players came in and testified honestly, keep in mind that MLB has no subpoena power. That's one of their weaknesses. If the players came in and testified honestly, we'll have to see over time whether they testified honestly, but it appears that they did, then they would get immunity. They couldn't be suspended or fined or charged. And that looks like that's what happened. 22 players have spoken to Major League Baseball. This was all in the Wall Street Journal earlier this week. And that kind of puts a different angle on everything. In order to have this done quickly, baseball just wants to, get rid of it quickly. They decided just to fire the management guys or suspend the management guys. We'll talk about that in a second as well. And all the players walk free. Now, the only player who's not walking free, and you probably know this already, Carlos Beltran, who was on the 2017 Astros, who was the only player who's specifically named, in the report from Major League Baseball. He actually wanted to suggest ways on how they could cheat better. If you have a chance, read that report. It's not that long. You'll crack up. But Beltran was named the manager of the Mets, 2 months ago or so, and now he's no longer the manager of the Mets. Luhnow, the GM of the Astros, and A.J. Hinch, the manager, were suspended a year by Major League Baseball, and then the next day were fired by the owner of the Astros. I don't know if they're going to fight over the remaining contract dollars they're owed. Sounds like Crane, the owner of the Astros, is a billionaire. He probably doesn't care one way or the other. He might fight it just to fight it. But they're now fired by the Astros, and they can't work in baseball this year. The Astros were fined $5 million. In today's world, that's not a lot of money, frankly. It's a fortune to you and me, but it's to a baseball team, it's not really anything. So they also lost draft picks, the first and second round draft picks in 2020 and 21. That's a big deal, obviously. But I think the best way to make sure this doesn't happen again is to just say the Houston Astros did not win the World Series. That's a minority opinion. A lot of people will disagree. But think it through, because you don't care about the fine. If you're the owner, you can fire the manager and a general manager. They'll get another manager and general manager. The draft picks will hurt, but the Astros have been good for a few years, and they're going to be good for the next few years. They have a very young, talented team. So they're still going to battle for the World Series, even without help, I believe. So, again, that's a minority viewpoint, but I think they should vacate the title. Nobody won. The Dodgers can't really claim they would have won because they don't know who they would have played if the Astros didn't cheat. And again, I use the Yankee example. The Red Sox thing is under investigation, so we won't talk about that. But Alex Cora, who was the bench coach and was deeply involved with the Astros, then became the manager of the Red Sox. And the rumors are they did the same thing in Boston, and they won the World Series. That hasn't been determined, but Cora's already gone. Whether you think he was pushed or he jumped, they agreed to mutually part ways. You won't know what that really means until the money is doled out. Are they going to pay Cora the rest of his contract, or did he agree to just leave and not take any more money? The embarrassment factor for these guys is off the charts. And embarrassment is a powerful deterrent, but is not the deterrent. Look, the Astros, a bunch of them cheated. They got away with it. They're World Series winners. They got caught after the fact. But what does that really, really, really mean? So if you told me as a fan, I'd hate to win the World Series that way, but I'd say, wow, we won the World Series. And you can say anything you want. They didn't vacate it. We're still the World Series winner. I think that's wrong. I don't think it should be like that. I don't think Manfred is going to do that, but I think he should. And maybe there'll be some pressure put on him when this doesn't seem to be enough. All of this punishment, fines are irrelevant, draft picks are a big deal. But I just don't think Manfred has the guts to do that. That would really be a gutsy thing to do. And then you could say for the third time in the history of baseball, the third time, not the first, there was no World Series winner. And I think that's frankly what should happen. So the Dodgers shouldn't win the World Series. The Yankees shouldn't get a chance to play in that World Series, even though maybe that would have happened if everything was on the up and up. But I think they can and should vacate the World Series. There should be no 2017 winner. And if the Red Sox investigation should be determined to be the same thing, Cora being the main guy in both of them, and they cheated again, vacate the 2018 World Series. This is Steve Callis, speaking of sports. We'll see you the next time.